what I'm trying to do either. But
that seems to be a common theme. All right, right now
you're a common thing.
it's working right now. It's not up yet.
What?
The stream.
You already clicked go?
I have.
I've been an idiot for the past 30 seconds, and you didn't fucking tell me
not
that.
Streaming yet.
Well, it's gonna.
Well, it is now.
Okay.
And you're over there singing songs like a moron, which I.
Well, we're now recording on my end too, so here we go, Buzz. Welcome.
Welcome everybody to the Collar and Elbow Wrestling Podcast. You act like there's like 8,000 viewers right now.
Our bank of fans is listening.
Thank you for joining us today. We are the Collar and Elbow Wrestling Podcast. I am Kenny Oak of the Collar and Elbow Wrestling Podcast and of Kenny Oak Sports. For the love of sports with Kenny Oak Sports. Boom. I am joined with my esteemed colleague, my social media phenom, the one of none, Chris, and
that makes me sound irrelevant.
Also
joined by the vibration of the phone from
the
Ken.
Blackhawks.
Oh, let's get sports update.
Devils. All right, so right now we've got
let's save
Blackhawks
it.
And the Devils save tied at 1 in the third period. 8:43 to go with 8:31 to go in the third. The Penguins are up 1-0 to the Coyotes. Bubs, Chris Harris, Crispy Quick on Twitter and at CaE Wrestling, our social media guy. Oh, got big arm pumps today.
You're doing it too? Muscle Man Dance. Muscle Man Dance. Brought to you by your man Bray Wyatt and the Fiend. He does the Muscle Man Dance and bring it in, and we're back.
If you have never tuned in to the Collar and Elbow Wrestling Podcast, you are in for a tremendous treat. We have been doing this live on YouTube for a few weeks now. This is, I think, our third.
We'll call it the third one in a row.
Third in a row.
Yeah.
I like to use the term straight instead of in a row. I don't know why.
Okay.
It just sounds.
I'll counter that and say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dumb. Anyway, there is a for the. I apologize for those listening to the.
Yeah, you're missing out on some good visual cues we're doing over here.
Well, that's one thing people don't realize. When you're doing a podcast with someone that's hundreds of miles away and at one point thousands of miles away.
We've pulled that angle.
Yes, continents away. You need visual cues to let the other person know. But now people can see that on YouTube. So that's exciting. But yes, there is a big topic that we have decided we wanted to delve into.
Delve
into. I love that word.
I'll dive into it.
We'll delve into it.
Okay.
It's Ferguson.
Big fan.
And that is something we've been kicking around the past few days. It was actually your idea.
Fair.
You hit me up on my way home one day. It's the greatest wrestlers of the decade. And not just any decade, but the decade that we are currently about to be done with.
We're going to close it out.
We will, and we are going to create have we come up with a number? Or...
Well, we talked about doing 5 each, but you wanted to narrow it down to 8 total. But I mean, that's for a separate purpose. I have names I'm ready to talk about.
Okay.
So
well, I am ready to get into that.
Okay.
But before we start, I always like to encourage everyone to join in on the conversation. You can hit us up on Twitter at CaE Wrestling, where you will also see the link to the the stream. By the time you're listening to this, the stream will be over, but you can go and rewatch it just for fun, just to see what we look like, which is gorgeous.
Oh, that's fair. Anyway. I'm glad we're talking about it because I'm sitting here, I'm looking at your hair, and it's been better. The guy left a little too much Okay.
bangs. And
Looks like there should be product there or a comb effort,
yeah,
maybe. But you're nonetheless strong jaw. I tell you all the time. We are. I wish we would have gotten. If we would have been proactive in our thinking of names, we would have been the Bearded Podcast. I think way back in 2016 when we started this.
yes, we've been
But
around a while.
yeah, but there's been some gentlemen with great beards, but they're ahead of us in that
Yes, my
name.
beard's also way better than yours. You you get back over here. Tell me I'm wrong.
Debatable. You know I have to shave mine frequently.
Exactly. And guess what? I don't. Which gives
And that
me
makes
the upper
it
hand.
better than
Yes. Look at it.
in the
Look at
moment
it.
right now.
In the moment right now.
I would say I
beard.
trimmed mine recently, and
Okay.
you
And
haven't.
guess what?
done that
I don't have to.
Well, that's because you're stupid, and you.
I hear a hint
Yep.
of jealousy, and that's okay.
You're right.
That's okay. I'm
just gonna be.
I'm not going to be upset with you.
I'm just gonna be mad
I
for
am
a second. and
Oh,
hold it
there
in,
was
drink it
something
in.
With you.
Anyways, yeah.
All right, this was your topic. You.
Yeah, let me drive the train a little bit because the decade's ending, and it's time to put a little thought into what we've been watching for the last 10 years in wrestling. And there's a lot to obviously talk about when you think about 10 years, but we watch wrestling for the performers primarily. And I think there's been several names that we could talk about have been the best. That's that subjectivity that we always run into, unfortunately. But we're going to try to narrow this down. I don't know how many names you want to throw out.
When you're talking about a topic like this, it's impossible not to be objective, because I had to think about which word I wanted to use. Because you have wrestlers that you idolize. You have wrestlers that give you the feels.
Yep.
And so you're always going to put those in a topic like this.
Yep.
Always.
You're going to.
You know that.
I know that you're
There's
going to.
one person you know that is going in there regardless.
Yep, and
5:50 left, and the Penguins are still up.
we will not be
Coyotes.
interjecting much more hockey highlights
Right.
and
Because the
updates
Dallas
for
Stars
everyone.
are playing. And Bubs, I'm gonna be at the Big 12 championship game.
I don't know if you're saying that to put it in my face or you're just informing the nation of listeners
The nation.
who may be Baylor
I'm looking
or
at the current
Sooner.
viewers.
Are you? You're looking at them?
What? Good point.
That was random tangents. First tangent of the night done.
There's a lot of that going on.
But you talk about getting the feels, right? We're
Yes.
both gonna have to talk about some names that we don't normally talk about, I think, or at least enough, and that's good because 10 years ago was a long time. 2010, 11, 12, 13. There's stuff that we've forgotten since then, I think. So it's time to bring up some old names, perhaps, and say, can they compete with the guys that have hung out in the latter part of this decade, and are they as good or better than some of those guys? So I don't know really if you want to start from like a 5-1 or a 10-1. I have 5 solid names that I've ranked, at least 5 good ones. There's some other ones I can talk about, and I can rank them from the hip, but I put some actual thought into this earlier, very little, but I could have done better, honestly, but I've done that so far.
Okay. That's actually a really good question, because we definitely have people that we agree on, and we're going to have people that we disagree on.
Okay.
So why don't we do this?
Okay.
Start with... I'll let you start. This was your topic.
Okay.
You start. You throw out a name. We discuss it. We decide whether we agree on it. Then I throw out a name.
Okay.
Until we can agree on a list of the top 5.
Number 5.
Okay, so you're going with your 5 period.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 5. Charlotte Flair.
Interesting.
How so?
I did not see that coming.
Neither did I until I actually thought about it for about an hour and realized that resume is strong. She has done a lot in the last 6 years, not obviously decade worthy yet, but think back to NXT when the Four Horsewomen were doing their thing, and the matches that those ladies put on, and the WrestleManias since. And the reason I'll talk about some of these names is, I'm big into resumes. I always mention that. So when I think about all these people, I think about what have they done on a major kind of stage, right? All the WrestleManias, the SummerSlams, the title reigns, the title matches, the 5-star matches, all that kind of stuff. That's really what I'm thinking about when I name some of these people. So what have they done on paper, and what can I remember from watching them over the past decade, how they made me feel, did I enjoy their matches, kind of stuff. And aside from this year only, where Charlotte has become my number 2 favorite women's wrestler, it's now Tessa Blanchard.
Yes.
Charlotte's been my number 1 forever, and we have sat here and we've gawked over her and said that she's the best at what she does. And a lot of folks kind of tend to hate her. She gets a lot of kind of the same Roman hate because she's got a lot of titles and gets a lot of love, right?
In front of us.
Yeah.
And
now we are supposed to hate it.
Yes, because she wasn't the chosen one. She wasn't Becky Lynch. She wasn't Bayley. She wasn't Asuka. Whatever. Whoever the darling of the time was.
Yep. So that's why I've decided to go with her. I want to know what you think, and you may not obviously place her in your top 5 because you just said you were kind of shocked by that a little bit. But what do you think about her?
I feel bad admitting this, but I didn't have any women in my list. But I'm glad you do, because that's something that is not talked about enough, which is the effect that these tremendous athletes have had on the business over the last decade, because it truly has been a revolution. I mean, I hate that term. I hate the women's revolution because it's a phrase that was coined by the WWE, so they have to use it constantly. But it's true, and Charlotte has been the front runner of it. She's been the most consistent and the absolute best of the bunch.
Okay. So I know you don't agree with her at 5, so I'll let you kind of put a name out there that we can kind of talk about a little bit.
It's not that I don't agree with her at 5. I definitely, but I mean, you're 5. That's fine. It's not my 5.
Okay.
But that's okay.
I don't hate you. I don't hate you as a person.
Well, why do you have to say it like that?
I respect your difference of opinion, although it's wrong, is how I react with people on the IWC when we talk about wrestling and hates and loves. So that's the reality. It's the reality of wrestling. So I have some more names we can throw out right now, and we can find one until we agree on, or unless you have someone else up in there in that category you want to talk about next. But I mean, I've got some names here ready to discuss.
Okay. I didn't rank mine in like a typical way. I didn't say, okay, this guy's number 5, this guy's number.
Okay.
I just have a group of guys that I think belong on this list that had an impact on the business throughout the decade.
Okay.
And the first person, of course, that came into mind for me was John Cena.
Let's get it out of the way. I love it.
Yes. He has been the face of the company for so long.
A decade and a half.
Yes. And of course, his reign started before that, but his time in this decade, he has spent improving his in-ring work, making those around him better, helping young talent get over, a la Kevin Owens.